Merry Meet. Honoring Death, the Sacred Balance in Magic. Death is the first teacher. It is the final teacher. It is the shadow every child sees in the corner of their mind when they realize for the first time that the people that they love will not live forever. It is a teacher that waits in the quiet corner of every room, in the silence between one breath and the next. It is the one thing every living being shares. And yet, in magic, death is not an enemy. Death is not only the thief, death is the keeper of balance. Death is the ground into which the seed is laid, so that new life may rise. We live in a culture that hides death, curtains drawn in hospitals, glossy coffins polished to disguise decay. We speak of passing away as if death were too sharp a word to touch the tongue. But magic does not fear death. Magic looks death in the eye and says, I know you. You are part of me. Without you, life has no meaning. To honor death in magic is not to worship suffering. It is to worship truth. And truth is, life and death are not opposites. They are a cycle. They are lovers entwined, forever birthing, forever burying, forever balancing one another. Why honor death? Because life cannot exist without it. This is not philosophy. This is science. This is ecology. This is the mathematics of survival. The leaf must fall for the tree to grow again. The fire must consume for the soil to be nourished. The body must break down for the earth to be fed. We are all walking compost heaps and waiting. And thank the gods for that, because without the return of our matter, nothing else could live. If we seek abundance in spell work, we must acknowledge that all abundance comes from cycles, and cycles are only complete when they include endings. No spring without winter, no dawn without night, no birth without death. Stars die, and in their death throes scatter the elements that become planets, oceans, forests, our own bodies. Death built us. Death sustains us. Death feeds every bite of food we take. Even the vegan who eats only plants must accept that those plants died for life to continue. To practice magic and ignore death is to practice with only half the truth. In magic, every act is death and rebirth. When you light a candle, the wax dies to become flame. When you burn incense, the resin dies to become fragrance. When you banish what no longer serves, you lay it in the grave of the past. To heal, you ask illness to die, so that vitality can live. To change, you let an old self fall away, so that the new self may emerge. Death in magic is not simply the end of bodies. It is a transformation of states. It is alchemy, lead dissolving to reveal gold. It is the chrysalis, caterpillar liquefying into butterfly. It is the falling tower in tarot, making way for new foundation. Every spell is a tiny death. Every ritual is a rehearsal for endings. Every act of release, a miniature funeral, a sacred surrender. And yet, Let us not make death too clean. Let us not wrap it only in metaphors. Death is also grief, raw, ugly, unbearable. It is love with nowhere left to go. It is the silence of a voice we ache to hear. It is the absence that grows. To honor death in magic is to honor grief, to say this too is sacred, to say tears are offerings, memories are incantations, candles lit on anniversaries are spells as powerful as any invocation. Grief transforms us. It carves us open, like rivers carve valleys, and in those valleys, new water flows. Grief asks, who are you now? Now that loss has shaped you. And it answers, stronger, softer, more awake. Death breaks us, but in that breaking, light enters. In nearly every magical tradition, death is honored through the ancestors. Altars built, candles lit, food placed in bowls, incense rising like prayers, names spoken aloud, so that those who died do not vanish twice, once in body and again in memory. The dead are not gone. They are changed. They are in the soil, in the air, in our blood. They whisper in dreams. They guide in omens. They guard in ways unseen. To honor death is to honor them, to say, you mattered, you still matter, you still live in us. And when we honor our ancestors, we also teach the spirits of tomorrow how to honor us in return. How do we honor death in magic? We honor it by acknowledging endings. We honor it by ritualizing release. When a spell is complete, we do not cling to it. We let it die. We bury the ashes. We burn the paper. We pour the water into the ground. When a chapter of life closes, we mark it with ceremony, a candle lit for what was, a prayer for gratitude, a symbolic burial for what we no longer need. We honor death by remembering that it touches everything, not just flesh and bone, but every cycle, every change. Death is as present in a divorce as it is in a funeral, as present in withered friendship as in a fallen body. The magician knows to deny endings is to deny truth. To embrace endings is to live in balance. So what happens when death is dishonored? When it is ignored, denied, and rejected? Magic becomes greedy, clinging, rotten. A spell that calls only for gain, never for release, becomes stagnant, like water that never flows out of the pond. It festers. A practitioner who refuses to face death becomes shallow in their workings. They may manifest wealth, but cannot let go of fear. They may manifest love, but cannot release obsession. They may manifest power, but cannot surrender control. To ignore death is to practice magic with half a heart. It is to take without giving. It is to breathe in without breathing out. And eventually, that imbalance suffocates. But when death is honored, the gifts are profound. We gain wisdom, perspective, gratitude. We learn to savor every moment because we know it will pass. We learn to let go because we trust that endings are fertile. We learn to see beauty even in decay. Offerings to the dead strengthen our protection. Songs sung for the ancestors open doors of guidance, altars lit for those who have passed to become wells of power. The witch who honors death walks with deeper authority because they walk with both halves of truth, the living and the dead. In the end, death is not punishment. It is not cruelty. It is balance. Without it, the world would choke on its own abundance. Without it, the cycles would collapse. Without it, life itself would lose meaning. From death, life is born. From endings, beginnings come. From silence, song returns. And in that rhythm, there is peace. So let us not fear death in our practice. Let us honor it. Light candles for the dead. Pour water for the ancestors. Thank the ending as much as the beginnings. Let our grief be prayers and our acceptance be spells. Because in honoring death, we honor life itself, and magic, and love, and existence. Nothing is ever truly lost. It is only changed. It is only reborn. It is only waiting for us to remember. And in remembering, we live more deeply. We love more fiercely. We practice more wisely. Because from death, life is born. Always. Blessed be.